These are thoughts of a criminal defender. I wanted to start about 10 minutes ago, but someone was trying to bug me to create fake drama. Oh, he may be a subscriber. It was a commenter. To create, he's telling me, make money, man. Please, I'm in a precarious situation. And the lower level, those below special agent in the IRS are sub-geniuses. I've dealt with this problem before. And I was trying to, he goes, create fake drama, man. You pump up the, and no, because that actually takes a lot of work. It's not my objective. My objective here is just to do my shit. This is what I consider to be, this is my third channel. This is what I consider to be my final channel, the final chapters of my life. And what I wanted to talk about was that I have had a 30-year bromance with a lovely Roman Catholic man. And anyway, that's what's, I was just thinking about, I know he's facing a trial. I can tell. And here's this guy I had to explain to him at length that, because he not only pushed once, he pushed twice. When I tell you no the first time, please don't extract another few minutes of my life. Just a polite request. I explained to him that that's sadomasochism. I don't do it anytime, anywhere, not involved. Just fake drama. Drama is, I can be dramatic, but this for my purposes, my purpose is not to make money here. My purpose is to express myself, talk about things, and to teach. I already did one micro lecture to a lovely young couple, and both were primary open-angle glaucoma. And it went well. It was a little micro. It was super compressed, just some briefest explanation and warnings of prohibitions of things that you shall not consume. This morning, oh gosh, that's about the third vehicle that's burning oil. There was one that, actually that thing was just hemorrhaging oil. This is not a town where you see, even at that 7-Eleven or whatever, the places where people from all over stop, there's still very few vehicles that are dripping any kind of oil. It's actually, they don't. I got to do this right, so I'm backlit. Anyway, I waited until about 7 o'clock because I figured he had finished his morning walk. I'd already had my first cup of coffee, and I think I'd already shot a video. And about 7 o'clock, I texted my best friend Bruno, and and when he didn't reply, I knew. He's sitting there having the little it's technically it's a demi-tasse, but it's actually the standard cup of coffee. Like, he'll have 2 or 3, probably 3 today, because he's going to probably be doing voie dire today, trial tomorrow, or may be doing voie dires. I can't do it in the English. Voie dires, voie dire. They're a combination of French, English, Latin terms, and legal terminology. But I know he was sitting there chatting with his wife. He'll read my texts at all times like I read his on camera. You've seen me do it. It's kind of our deal. Because he never knows when I might go, help. That almost never happens. And I really, for you people out there that are criminals, my best friend is your best friend. He does his damnedest, and that's what I was going like. I thought it'd be, because sometimes I delay it, and it's actually a good advantage because this is the perfect time. It's before Christmas, but not too close to Christmas, to get the best possible plea bargain or best outcome in trials, because actually you really have to understand, because that he actually tried to, this is no shit. Bruno Shimak petitioned judges in which he's the areas which he is the heads the public defender office. Originally, actually it was my case, the notoriety that led to Bruno being pretty much appointed and moving towards the creation of really the first public defender's office that didn't exist before. Before that, the judge just assigned, I've made it on my other channels, I've talked about this, the judge would just assign his friends who would violate, which Bruno will not. See, Bruno ain't going to tell me nothing right now, because Bruno won't tell me that if I don't already know it in the news, can't deduce what case he's working on, he won't tell me shit until it's public record. He's the kind of lawyer you want. You know, he's not going to cooperate with the state at all, and he is not going to break his ethical rule of not. It's his obligation to keep his communications absolutely private, confidential, legally privileged. When you speak to Bruno Shimak, you can be sure that you're talking to a guy who's like my father. Tight lip. He's not a jabbermouth like me. And gosh, I think Bruno wants to die in the courtroom, really. But he's by now, oh gosh, he's in the courtroom by now, I'm sorry. But 7 a.m. he's having those 2, 3, probably 3 this morning, little demi-tasses, 6 ounces of fresh ground, fresh brewed, 137.5 degrees Fahrenheit. His biochemist wife has taught him, they're a loving couple. He makes coffee he goes out for a walk. He might, actually he'll usually wait to make coffee until he go out for his morning walk. Maybe walk the dogs. And then about 7 o'clock, he's there making a small pot of coffee for him and his wife, perfectly brewed, right temperature. That's my absolute minimum as myself. I like it hotter, at least by 20 degrees. So he's going to be, actually they're going to be probably throwing, because he's, like, actually after he wins like a really good case, they just trust, I'm going to say trust me, that Dick Nixon used car salesman thing. After he wins a good case, I noticed that they start just throwing, because they're, especially after he wins an actual trial and stuff, which really, that's rare, because almost all you fuckers are guilty as shit and leave a fucking evidentiary trail, and then you're fucking, snitching on yourself inside the jail. It's called jailhouse confessions. You retards, I'm sorry, you, hard to deal with. I told you about the guy that did 6 jailhouse confessions to murder. He squelched all 6 of those, and on the 7th one, he goes like, I see a pattern here. Let's just get him to trial and hope he doesn't, because then on the 7th time, he had them thrown out, these jailhouse confessions, because the snitches were kind of career snitches and plea bargainers. There's enough evidence that they were not reputable witnesses, not trustworthy. This is a guy that will fight for your freedom like a motherfucker. He really will. And he don't talk like me. He's, it's every now it takes him to drop an S-bomb or an F-bomb or something like that. He really has to be pissed off about something that's almost never happens. Him and his wife watch stuff like hee-haw and shit like that, just because, she will not permit any vulgarity in that house. I think that's why he's afraid to invite me much, because of sometimes I kind of slip, the little Freudian shoestring slips, it's Anyway, 10 minutes. It was, you know, it wouldn't have been 10 minutes if that asshole hadn't kept asking me to make money on YouTube. I tried to explain to him that I've had these battles before with the lower echelons of IRS where they try to give me, because I have to file a 1099 miscellaneous, and when my income's low enough, I really don't. And if my income's low enough, then they automatically, just the mechanism sends me an earned, and this would be from YouTube. It would be reported, and I'd have to deal with having. I just have actually learned to just take the check and run. They don't have a mechanism for return. I can't really give you illegal advice here. I might get whacked for that, but if you get a check from the United States Treasury, you try to return it. They don't have a place to put it. If anything, they'll just tear it up, and then it's that part of that $7 trillion that's lost. If you've never tried to return a check when they've overpaid you, give it up. Just a wise man will just go ahead and cash it at the local store, because they have to, and if it's not like a huge, if it ain't like $200,000, they're not gonna, they just don't care. But if you give it back to them, it becomes lost. I know the system. And I've had this battle with them in the past when, because there's limits. They'll send me, because I would be reporting unearned income and earned income on a 1099 miscellaneous. I'm a Jew boy. I do my own taxes. And every year it's different. It's, and I haven't filed because there's not enough money there that the IRS is going to give a shit about. Then that money is being reported, and I'm not. There is no deductions because I'm claiming the disability exemption, and because the income is so low that I'm not taxable really, except for the fact it's oil and gas. Then they still, I pay the county for my taxes. They're the only ones that are legally entitled to tax payment, and I am, as of today, I am 4 days delinquent. So very soon I will be sending a small check to the Burleson County Tax Assessor Collector's Office, because I still own that fraction of minerals, and fuck my brother. I hope he enjoys them new neighbors that like shooting the place up and shit. I had to deal with it. I got 6 guys put in jail. Cars confiscated, weapons confiscated, serious fines for illegal hunting, etc. And that's hard to do when you're dealing with rich ass people. Trust me. On that one, yeah, you can. Anyway, today my thoughts are about my best friend. And you people out there, y'all can't do without guys like Bruno Shimek. I'm not going to spell that for you because it's, actually he does put in the H. You can, in those languages, you can leave the H out, but I think he hardly slept about the first 10 years of his practice and shit, because he was, well, for one thing, he had a neighbor with a barking dog. I told him, Bruno, you should have just gone after him civilly. He goes, nope. I love you, Bruno. I really do. If I had a child and I were to, if I wanted to name a guardian of a child, the Shimeks would be the only ones I would fucking ever consider. Yeah, I ain't worried. They're Roman Catholic, and they wouldn't interfere with that child's free will of thought. There would be no religious indoctrination they'd have for their own children, but they wouldn't for mine. That's the kind of people they are. They're highly reminiscent of my parents I was talking about. They like watch Hee Haw and Gomer Pyle stuff, and, you know, stuff that's family friendly. Nothing below the waist, you know. No naughty words, not in their house. No way, no how, at no time. Anyway, let's hope that Bruno keeps another guy that's really not that bad out of jail or prison, because, you know, Texas is, and the USA is one of the most incarcerating places on this planet. And since females began to make up 75% of juries, I've seen, let me give you a clue in case you get into trouble. If you're a man, especially if you're charged with any kind of thing violent or against a woman, you're fucked. Bruno has to really work his ass off, because for 30 years of my empirical knowledge and of his, it's been, and published, juries tend to be 75% female. And when it comes to a male, they can be, in a criminal matter, they can be very harsh. They can be, if it's a child in a civil matter like injury, they'll be overly generous. They'll go into the millions, billions over a child. And I've watched women, including my own cousin, who was a cop, claim that she wasn't a cop on the sworn document. Are you related to a law enforcement officer? And she was still T-Close certified. She had retired, and actually her husband, I think, was a cop too, Doug. And she checked off, no. I caught my own fucking cousin committing felony aggravated perjury to get on my jury. And actually, I just politely asked the judge, Mrs. Maddox, there is my cousin, Your Honor. Strike for cause. Boom. Didn't accuse her of any of the obvious. That I held that. And you know what? They didn't really notice that I took the yellow slips with me. Yeah. I've been known to, you know, gee, I'm not a member of the bar. I'm not a barrister. Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, I can't. You gave it to me. I put it in my briefcase. You saw me. Well, here you go. You got to know how to play the game. I know how to play the game. Young man was trying to tell me how to play fake drama to pump up my numbers and make YouTube money. Oh, come on. Look at how little bit of piece of shit that hobo shit stain's getting. He's got to file taxes on that. But then he gets that earned income credit back, so it really covers, well, everything he paid in taxes and maybe a little bit more. So I don't want to get into that world. I'm tired of that world. And I used to be in the highest tax bracket in this country, 48%. So please, tired of the tax man. And actually, in the past, the Holy Roman Catholic Church was the tax man who would give the king his little cut and they would take the rest. So I hope I've been educational and entertaining once again. I'm just mostly thinking about somebody that I love, who's his whole family, and that probably tomorrow he's got to go in and argue for some fucker that's a complete fuck up and left a trail of evidence, you know, a mile wide and 70,000 miles long, that he's got to try to convince probably a male, convince a 75% or more female jury that there is an absence of evidence, and although you know the other rest of that saying, and that there's not sufficient proof to convict. That's his job. He's really good at it. He's got it. For a public defender, he's got a very high win rate, and he can get you some of the best. I've seen guys, you know, get minimal time, you know, really not even go farther than the local, that's called state jail time if you stay in the county jail for a year and stuff. He's done really good for a lot of people that are, because he and I'm certainly hoping, praying for forgiveness for my own. I've talked about it before, and he's, you should be punished for your crimes, but he believes in forgiveness to the maximum amount possible within a very conservative rural area, where in the past you would have been taken out by the tree by the Poor Farm on Poor Farm Road in Burleson County and hung. Back in the day, we did our own hanging. They weren't sent to the walls in Huntsville, the oldest prison in the South or the West. And I'm the guy that worked there in 75 and 76 and was asked and had to consider to accept the very lucrative, well-armed, well-guarded position of the next and first chemical executioner of the state of Texas. That's me, Thomas Kent Kruger. I told you the story before. I considered it for 2 months. They were telling me, you have to be picked. The shrink is actually, he's watching all the new people. He's positioned in just the right place in the hospital building. He watches all the bosses come in from the academy and stuff like that. I'm sorry, corrections officer. The whole time I was there, I only did 2 write-ups. Some other little piss-ass little tiny dinks, they was trying to write up every fucker around them. No. That's why they were always asking me to do work with the public, take a group to the electric lineman journeyman's course. It's a 6-month course over at the Texas A&M Annex. When they asked me to do it, I said, yeah, I'll do it, but I ain't carrying no gun. They might get it away from me and shoot up people. And they go, well, funny thing, the job description is you don't get to carry a gun. So I think that's one of the things but anyway, when I got around to it, because I was typically working, my minimum day was 12 hours up to 16 hours, taking them back and forth. And, I went up to see the shrink finally during the psych evaluation. That was after about a month of them telling me all the perks and the stuff. They can't publish your name. They can't identify you. You can have any kind of weapon you want, all this kind of stuff. The pay was, it's later, so it's not that pay was more than double the governor, so pretty good job. And I already told you the story. Went in to see the shrink. He sat down and then said, sorry, I missed the last appointment. Didn't get back till, 8 o'clock at night or something. So that's okay. And we began chatting and stuff. He asked me a couple little questions, and then I just kind of interrupted him there. And I said, Doctor, they've told me about all the perks and stuff. It's great and stuff, but I've thought about it. And even though they knew I was pro-death penalty at the time, I told him, I said, I really don't want the job. And he goes, you pass. You'd have to be crazy to want this job. And then right then, he just signed off on he approved me in under about 10, 12 minutes. Wasn't even 12 minutes, tops. And that's from introductions. So, all you people out there have been calling me crazy and shit. I got a guy that's been dealing with criminal minds and schizos and meth heads his whole life. Found me perfectly sane to serve as the next executioner. I declined because I just really can't do it unless I've actually observed the crime myself. I just really couldn't. I could execute you on the spot if I saw you do it. But no, not in cold blood. Y'all have a good day. No cold blood here, Truman Capote, you little square on my thing.